I still remember the exact moment my world shattered. I was standing in the middle of our family living room, holding the papers that proved everything I had built over 10 years. My hands were trembling. My older sister, Alina, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You've always been the weak one, little sis. It's time someone else got what they deserved." Then she smiled. And our parents, they laughed. They actually laughed. My name is Sophia, and for most of my life, I believed family was supposed to protect you. I was the quiet one, the responsible one. While Elena chased every spotlight and every shortcut, I worked quietly in the shadows. I built a small but successful event planning business from nothing. Every late night, every sacrificed weekend, every client I stayed up for, I did it so our family could be proud, so my parents could finally see me. Elena was always the golden child. Beautiful, loud, charming. She could twist any situation to make herself look like the victim or the hero. And our parents, they worshipped her. No matter what she did, they excused it. That's just Elena's personality, they'd say. I never minded carrying the weight. I even helped Elena when she needed money for her big ideas. I lent her thousands without asking for a single paper because she was my sister, because blood is supposed to mean something. But that day in the living room, she didn't just ask for more. She presented forged documents claiming that the business was actually hers. She said I had been managing it for her all these years. She told our parents I had been stealing from the family and hiding money. And instead of questioning her, mom and dad turned to me with disappointment in their eyes and said, "How could you do this to your own sister?" Elena smiled wider and added, "See, she's always been jealous of me." Their laughter still echoes in my nightmares, that cold, dismissive sound, like my pain was nothing but a joke. I left that house with tears burning my face and a hole in my chest so deep I thought I would never breathe normally again. I drove for hours, not knowing where I was going. My own family had stabbed me in the back, and they were laughing while the knife was still twisting. But what I didn't know that day was that the worst betrayal was only the beginning. The weeks that followed were a blur of heartbreak and disbelief. I tried to talk to my parents privately. I showed them the bank records, the contracts with my name on them, the client emails proving the business was mine from day one. Mom just sighed and said, "Sophia, stop causing drama. Elena is going through a hard time." Dad shook his head and told me I was being selfish for not sharing with my sister. Sharing? I had already given her everything I could. Elena didn't stop there. She started spreading rumors in our small town. She told everyone I was unstable, that I had mental issues, that I had cheated clients. Old friends stopped calling, business partners pulled out, my phone went silent. I lost contracts worth tens of thousands of dollars in a single month. The business I had poured my soul into began to crumble. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Every night I lay awake wondering what I had done to deserve this from the people who were supposed to love me most. One evening, I drove past my parents' house and saw them all having dinner together. Elena, mom, and dad laughing like nothing had happened, like I had never existed. That image broke something inside me. I realized then that their love had always been conditional. I was only valuable when I was useful. When I stopped being the quiet supporter and started having my own success, I became a threat. The pain turned into something colder, anger. Not the screaming kind, the quiet, burning kind that sits in your bones and refuses to leave. I stopped begging. I stopped explaining. Instead, I started gathering every single piece of proof. every transfer, every email, every conversation I had recorded when Elena asked for money, just between us. I hired a lawyer quietly. I prepared for war, even though my heart was still bleeding. There were days I wanted to give up. Days I sat in my empty apartment and cried until my eyes were swollen. I felt so alone. The sister I once defended, the parents I once idolized, they had chosen to destroy me for her comfort. But deep down, a small voice kept whispering, "You deserve better. You deserve justice." So I kept going. I rebuilt my business in silence. I worked harder than ever, taking small jobs just to stay afloat. And every night, I added one more document to my folder. I didn't tell anyone what I was planning, not even my closest friend, because this time, I wasn't going to cry in front of them again. This time, I was going to let the truth speak for itself. 6 months later, we stood in a courtroom. Elena had taken me to court, claiming ownership of the entire business and demanding compensation for emotional distress I supposedly caused her. Our parents sat right behind her, nodding supportively, ready to testify if needed. When the judge asked me to present my side, my voice was steady, even though my hands were shaking under the table. I handed over the thick folder of evidence, bank statements, signed agreements, recorded conversations, everything. Elena's lawyer tried to dismiss it, but the judge's expression changed as he reviewed the documents. Then came the moment I'll never forget. The judge looked directly at my sister and my parents and said calmly, "Ms. Elena, these documents clearly show the business belongs to your sister. Not only that, but there is evidence of forgery and false claims. This is a serious matter." Elena's face went pale. She started stuttering, looking back at our parents for help. Mom's mouth opened, but no words came out. Dad shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The judge continued, "Furthermore, the attempt to defraud and damage your sister's reputation through false statements appears intentional. I am ruling in favor of the plaintiff, Sophia. The business remains hers. Additionally, I am ordering repayment of all unauthorized funds taken, plus legal fees." He paused, then added something that made the entire courtroom go silent. "And I strongly suggest this family seeks counseling. The level of betrayal displayed here is deeply concerning." Elena burst into tears, real ones this time. Our parents looked stunned, their faces drained of color. The laughter that had once filled our living room was gone. In its place was only the heavy silence of consequences. As we left the courtroom, my mother tried to approach me. Her voice was small. "Sophia, we didn't know." I looked at her and said softly, "You didn't want to know." I walked away without another word. That day, I didn't feel triumphant or cruel. I felt free. The business slowly recovered. Stronger clients came. I hired a small team. And most importantly, I found peace within myself. I learned that blood doesn't automatically mean loyalty. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most can hurt you the deepest. But I also learned that you don't need their approval to rise. You don't need their love to heal. You only need your own strength and the truth. If you're watching this and you're going through a similar pain, family betrayal, being laughed at while your heart is breaking, please hear me. Your worth is not defined by their opinion. Protect your peace, gather your truth, and when the time is right, let justice speak. Because eventually, the judge always speaks. And sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't loud. It's simply living well after they tried to break you. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that they are not alone. Until next time, stay strong and trust that karma has perfect timing.